bit about myself. I grew up in Phillipsburg, Pennsylvania, Everett State College, and graduated from Phillipsburg Roosevelt High School in 1976. As a kid growing up, I did the normal things. I had a paper route, worked a lot in small businesses at a drugstore called Woodman's. It's kind of like Rite Aid without the pharmacy. My brother-in-law had a gas station. I worked at his gas station. So I've been familiar with small businesses as a kid growing up. 1976, I came to Indiana, IUP, and earned my Bachelor of Science degree in Education in 1980. My father's an IUP graduate. I'm an IUP graduate. My sister's an IUP graduate. My son's an IUP graduate. And my other son is a graduate from the IUP Culinary School. If you know anyone who wants to be a chef, that's a great, great program, Culinary School. Currently, I'm in my 35th year of teaching. I teach American history at 6th grade at the junior high. I've taught at Ben Franklin Elementary School at Eisenhower Forest Land at 6th grade now at the junior high and teach American history. Relative to you, as a teacher of American history, I've had the opportunity to teach about the role of women in the development of our country. I do the second half of American history now, so I talk about such things as the Lowell Mill Girls, Eleanor Roosevelt, Rosie the Riveter, Rosa Parks. And if things go as I hope in November, someone else will have to teach them about the first woman president of the United States. And hopefully that's sooner than later. As an adult, I've been surrounded by professional women. My wife is a retired teacher. She earned a Bachelor of Science degree here in IUP and taught for 33 years. As an elementary school teacher, I am, of course, surrounded by women who are professionals throughout my career, mostly women. At the beginning of my year, there weren't too many women who were administrators. That has changed over time. And I haven't done the research yet, but I'd be interested to know the 500 school districts in Pennsylvania, how many of them have had a woman superintendent? Here in Indiana, we've had 2. I think there's one currently in Blairsville. But that has gotten better in my 35 years of teaching. I've also had supervisors, principals who have been women, and superintendents who have been women, so I've had professional women in a superior role to me as well. But the two women I'd like to concentrate on are my daughters. My wife and I have 2 daughters. One is Caitlin. She's currently working on a graduate degree in public health, science field. My oldest daughter, Mallory, goes to the University of Michigan in Ann Arbor. She will earn her PhD in bioinformatics. She was kind enough to wait until after the election, and she'll have it before the first of the year when she does her doctoral defense and have her presentation. Again, a science field. Bioinformatics is a cross between bioinformatics and computer science. She'll be doing her postdoctoral work at Johns Hopkins. Very, very proud of my daughters. But as they were growing up, my wife and I have always been supportive of them and encouraged them to be assertive and, when necessary, be aggressive, because they were entering fields where they would be dominated by males, and they needed to stand firm in those fields as well. We gave both our daughters, I know you're familiar with the book called Lean In by Sheryl Sandberg. It talks about women in the workplace as professional women and the role of how they need to behave in roles where men are unequal with being assertive and aggressive. I was pleased to see recently in the newspaper that this in the current budget was passed a $500,000 grant, I guess, to the Indiana County Technology Center for their STEM Academy and their Challenger program. It's a drop in the bucket. They need to raise about $8.5 million. They have raised about half, so I would encourage anything you do to help promote that STEM Academy. And the young people that you know, the young women that you know, encourage them that when that becomes available to take advantage of it. In doing some research, I found out that women in STEM careers, generally speaking, earn about 33% more than women in non-STEM careers. And the wage gap between men and women is least in STEM careers. One of the reasons I'm running for a state representative, I've never run for office before, this is a totally new thing to me, I've been learning a lot along the way, is funding for public education. 4 years ago when Governor Corbett took office, he did not replace $1 billion of funding that was came from the federal government. And he knew it was coming. He knew that it was only for 2 years, and did nothing about it. Since Governor Corbett took office, the basic ed subsidy for K through 12 is $580 million below what it was in 2010. The educational subsidy for higher education is $320 million less than it was in 2010. Libraries at one time were funded at $75 million, they're now funded at $54 million. We need to address those issues. In the current budget, $1 million block grant was passed, the Ready to Learn block grant, to provide to schools. It's a one-time funding source. You have to meet certain criteria to be eligible for it. To his credit, Governor Corbett had about $250 million in that block grant, but the state legislature cut it to $100 million. For Indiana school districts, that meant a loss of $900,000. And we have sitting in front of us a revenue source. And I'm sure you've all heard about it. You watch TV, we'll pass it on all of these commercials and things. The 5% severance tax on Marcellus Shale. All the other states that produce gas have this severance tax. A 5% severance tax would initially raise about $500, $600 million, and that's not a panacea. That's not going to fix all the troubles. But as time goes on and production increases and pipelines are built, that could go up to $1 billion worth of funding that we don't have right now. Gas corporations, you'll hear that the corporate tax rate is 10%. That's 9.9%. And that's true. And over the next several years, because of what the state legislature has done, it'll drop to about 6%. The effective tax rate, when you enter in all the tax breaks that they get, is about 3%. That's what you and I pay in personal income taxes, 3.07%. And that 3% is all the companies and things that drill the gas. The gas extraction companies, the companies that actually get the gas, in some cases they pay no corporate tax because there are so many tax breaks, they don't pay any corporate tax. Another plan that Tom Wolf has put forward that I think is an idea that definitely should be looked at is a graduated personal income tax. Pennsylvania is only one of 7 states that has a flat tax. All the other 43 states have a graduated income tax like we do federally. So those that can afford to spend more can pay more. It would be a tough get because it would have to be a change in the Pennsylvania Constitution. There's a long process to get through that. But it's most certainly something we should be looking at. It's good enough for 43 other states. We ought to be looking at it. Another reason why I'm running is the Medicaid expansion. Recently, the federal government accepted Governor Corbett's plan, Healthy PA. It's a year late. In that year that we've waited, we've lost $5 million a day in federal funding. And we actually been paying for it because about 25 other states jumped on it right away. So our federal taxes have been paying for those states that implemented it right away. We've waited a year. We now have Healthy PA. In that year that we waited, 500,000 Pennsylvanians have gone without health insurance that could have had it. We've lost thousands of jobs of people that would be hired to help those people that now have health care. And those thousands of people would be paying personal income tax, a funding source. Those same people would be able to purchase things that maybe they couldn't purchase before, and we would be able to collect more in sales tax. But that didn't happen. Instead, we have Healthy PA, which if we would have accepted the plain Medicaid expansion, with Healthy PA, it will cause those people to have higher fees, fewer benefits, and it will increase the bureaucracy. It's another level of bureaucracy. The best way to explain it, if you had a person from Pennsylvania in a Pennsylvania hospital and a person from West Virginia sitting next to them, and they were on Medicaid expansion, the person from Pennsylvania would be paying more for their benefit, would be getting less coverage than the person from West Virginia. Other items on my to-do list that I think you'd find interesting is that we are the only developed country in the world that doesn't have a guaranteed paid maternity leave for women. Some people get it through their place of business or work or through their health care, but it's not mandatory, it's not guaranteed. I would also encourage a Buy Pennsylvania initiative where government would encourage buying in Pennsylvania. During the course of the campaign, my wife has gone out a couple times to put together small business baskets. And she went to Valencia, one of the places she went with. There's a bunch of stores, Founders, and there's a coffee shop. There's several stores. And what they do is a really great idea. They promote each other. If you go to one store to buy something, they suggest you go to other small businesses in that area to go and buy things at those stores. It's a great idea. It's helping each other. There is a certain amount of money put aside in the budget for contracts with the state. And there's a certain percentage that must go to women, minorities, and disabled business owners. It would be easy to increase that so that women, minorities, and disabled business owners have more opportunity toward those state contracts. We also need to begin to replace funding cuts to Health and Human Services, about $1 billion in the past 4 years. And Health and Human Services disproportionately hurt women and single mothers. I was told I should talk about a personal story with one of my students. In the course of my career, I've had about 2,500 students. I have a little trouble with that because there's a matter of confidentiality. So let me tell you about one of my friends. She had 5 children, and her husband left her. So she was left to raise 5 children on her own. And she had to go on public assistance. What did she do with that public assistance? All her 5 children have advanced degrees. One's doctor. She got 2 doctorate degrees. That's what she did with her ability to take care of her families with public assistance. We need to make sure that opportunity is available for the women in our state. I look forward to answering your questions, but I am more concerned to hear what concerns you have. So when you have that opportunity, please share your concerns as well as your questions. Thank you.